Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy, and I'm going to do a quick little video rant here about the 2018 Ford F-150. Uniquely among 1,500 half-ton trucks, the F-150 has an aluminum body. I expect the other manufacturers to go along with that for the same reason that Ford decided to go that route. It's a way to lighten up the vehicle and thereby appease the government's fuel economy fatwas, or at least attempt to, while maintaining the power and capability of the vehicle. There are some downsides, though, to aluminum, which I'll get into shortly. The other thing about the Ford that's interesting versus the others in the field is that its top dog engine is not a V8. You can still get a V8, but Ford is kind of quietly pushing V8s off the stage. The top dog engine in this thing is a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, and they've actually upped the ante under hood for 2018. It now makes 450 horsepower and 510 foot-pounds of torque, and I think essentially it's the same version of the 3.5 twin turbo that they put in the Lincoln Navigator. So basically they've upped it from last year when it was 375 horsepower and I forgot how much torque. Also, the standard engine is no longer the 3.5 V6. That's been retired in favor of a new 3.3 V6 that's smaller but actually makes a bit more power. And the mid-level 2.7 V6 makes 25 foot-pounds more torque this year. That one also has twin turbos. The really cool wild card thing, though, is the new 3-liter Power Stroke turbodiesel V6 that will be available later this year. I don't think you can get it yet, actually, but it's coming. That engine makes 250 horsepower and 410 foot-pounds of torque, so it has about the same torque, actually I think a little bit more torque than the V8, and not that far away from the torque actually of the 3.5 V6, but it gets about 30 miles per gallon on the highway according to Ford's preliminary estimates. Alright, now let's get back to the aluminum body on this thing. There are pros and there are cons. Pro being that, yeah, it's light. The cons being that it's probably more vulnerable to being damaged, and if you do damage it, look out. Aluminum is harder to work with than steel, and it's also more expensive to work with than steel. Body shops are having to put or create separate clean areas for working with aluminum rather than steel because of cross-contamination issues. And I suspect that is going to manifest in higher costs to insure as aluminum bodies become more prevalent. And it's all about this insanity of the government decreeing fuel economy. I don't know why people accept that. Most people seem to think that that's legitimate. I don't understand that myself. Why is it the government's business at all what the fuel economy of vehicles is? You're buying the vehicle, you're buying the gas, it ought to be your business, and if indeed people are clamoring for mileage uberalis, well then certainly, logically, it stands to reason that the manufacturers would address that issue. But clearly people value other things more than fuel economy. They value power, they value simplicity, frankly, versus some of the complex technical solutions that the manufacturers are having to resort to, like these aluminum bodies and also these twin turbo engines. I'm very impressed by what Ford has done with a relatively small engine. It's a 3.5 V6, almost 500 horsepower, more than 500 foot-pounds of torque. That's very, very solid. If you chalk that up against, say, the 6-ish liter V8 that's available in the Chevy Silverado, the power and the torque are competitive or better. But I don't know, which would I rather have? A V8 is pretty simple. No turbos, nothing to worry about down the road with intercoolers. I just don't know. And the fuel economy difference really is pretty slight. If you look at the stats, you'll see there's probably about somewhere between maybe a 3 and a 5 mile per gallon difference, best case. And in real world driving, I find it to be less than that because the best case depends on you not wicking up the turbos and using the boost and the power that the engine can produce. If you are very gentle on the gas pedal, yeah, you can probably get reasonable gas mileage or better gas mileage than you would out of the V8. But does it make that much of a difference to the kind of people who buy trucks, I don't know. I will leave that up to you. Anyway, final thought before I go. There are also some, you can probably see if you're a Ford guy, some changes to the exterior of the 18 F-150. It's got a chamfered or rolled over front end now that kind of bleeds off into the grill. It's got this tubular grill here. I think it's a very good looking truck. I absolutely have no objection whatsoever to the styling of this thing. I will, however, take some issue with the height of this thing, and I've ranted about this before. If you've watched my videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. I am 6'3", and that puts me probably in the 95th plus percentile of men, meaning that probably 95% of men are not as tall as I am, are shorter than I am, and here I am, and I'm just going to show you. I'm standing and I can just barely touch the bed of this thing. And if I were, say, a normal-sized man around 5'10", I think it would be virtually impossible for me to reach into the bed of this truck without standing on a stepladder. Now, I'm not going to focus on Ford specifically because they all do this. All the current trucks have these super tall bed heights, which didn't used to be common in half-ton trucks. If you go out and look at something from the 80s or even the 90s, you'll find that the bed height is generally somewhere like this. The current trucks, their bed walls are at least 8 inches taller than they used to be. And that brings up another issue. Again, you know, I'm 6'3" and I'm pretty agile. I don't have any mobility issues, but getting into this truck, you literally have to climb into it. You can't just step up into the bed. Ford offers what I call the Metamucil pole for old people who literally can't clamber up into it. There's a little step ladder that comes out with a pole that comes out right here, and you hold onto it and you grab onto that to walk into the bed. And the other manufacturers, the other half-ton trucks, offer something similar, and it's all because of this uber hyper codpiece ultimate macho man styling aesthetic that has taken over the 1500 truck market. Used to be that only the 250s and bigger had gigantic tall walls like that, but the look became popular. Again, I call this codpiece fever. I don't think it's very practical. I think it's a pretty dumb idea, frankly, and it's not just Ford, it's everybody that's doing this, but your mileage may vary. Anyway, more up at upautos.com. Hope you'll stop by, take a look, and leave your comments. And let's see, I wanted to show you one other thing, by the way, if I can pull it out of my pocket. This is where I need it. I need an assistant or something. Okay. This, I can't really show it to you too well because we got aluminum body here, but here's your here are EP Autos Clover stickers, or not stickers, they're actually magnets. So if you don't have an aluminum bodied car, you can get one of these. We give them out free to anybody who donates 20 or more to the cause. Go to the site to find out more. And that's it. Thanks again for viewing, and we'll catch up with you soon.